From the outside. For one thing you can do is turn one time to the right. Make sure you got your windows down. Okay? He's gonna be standing on the outside out there. And what you have to do is you gotta go through a light check. So you call out the window, you'll say left turn signal, right turn signal, four-way flashes, turn your lights on, make sure that your high beam indicator goes on and off. Then you point up top, say clearance lights. Okay? So once you finish with the left turn signal, right turn signal, four-way flashes, turn your lights on, make sure your low beam, high beam work, clearance lights. He walks to the back. When he gets to the back, you do the same thing. You yell out the window, left turn signal, right turn signal, four-way flashes, you hit your brakes, make sure they light up, call out ID lights in the back, okay? So once again, you do the light check on the front, and he goes to the back, okay? Once he comes around, he gets in the truck. Once he gets in the truck, you will grab your seatbelt. Make sure your seatbelt is properly mounted and secured. Make sure it's not frayed or damaged. And make sure that it works in the lock and unlock position. Make sure my windows are still down. At this point, I'm gonna check for unusual sounds or smells. Leave my windows, go to my mirrors. Make sure that my mirrors is properly mounted and secured. Make sure they're adjusted to the driver. Once I check my mirrors, this is where I want to crank the truck up at. All right? As soon as I crank the truck up, the first gauge I want to check is my oil pressure. Make sure my oil pressure is rising and working properly. Then I'm going to go ahead and get my primary, secondary air tanks. Make sure that those gauges are rising and working properly. Get my water temperature. Make sure it is rising and working properly. Next, I want to check my vaults. There we go. I want to check my vault meter on my battery. Make sure your vaults on your battery be between 12 and 14. All right? So once you finish your gauges, you get your indicators on the inside again. Left turn signal, right turn signal, four-way flashes, turn the lights on, make sure the high beam indicator goes on and off. Once you finish with your indicators, you bring it in mode. You check your city horn. You check your highway horn. After you check your city horn, highway horn, you go to your windshield. Make sure it's properly mounted and secured, not cracked, broken, or damaged, clear in color. There should be no stickers or anything obstructing the driver's view. While you're there, I say go ahead and get your windshield wipers. Make sure that your wipers are properly mounted and secured. Make sure they're not cracked, broken, damaged, or frayed. Your wipers work in low speed, high speed. You push it and hold it in and make sure that you have washing fluid that it's properly working. Alright? Once you finish with your wipers, you check your defrost. What you do is you put it on, you put it here. And then test truck, you got 3 settings. You got a windshield, you got the blowing in your face and on your feet. So you got to check your defrost on heat only. Turn your fan speed up, check your defrost on the dash, on the panel, and in the floor. Okay? So there's dash, panel, floor. Alright? So once you finish with that, I classify everything for that as phase 1. Okay? So after you finish checking the general stuff, you go to phase 2, which is your tractor, trailer, brake test, your service brake test. So now we'll do the tug test. For the tug test, I want to check my tractor brake. So in order to check my tractor brake, I leave the yellow one out, push the red one in, go to drive, give it gas until I feel a slight tug. They properly working. Okay? Go to neutral, pop your trailer brakes out. Now I want to check my trailer brakes. So I will leave those out, push my tractor brakes in, go back to drive, give it another slight tug. Alright? It's properly working. Now that I check the tractor brake, I check the trailer brake, now I want to check my service brake, so I make sure I push in both. Leave it at drive. Check my service brake. I want to pull forward 3 to 5 miles an hour and apply my service brake to make sure they're properly working. Alright? And they properly working. After that, you go to neutral, pop your brakes out. As soon as you pop your brake out, go to neutral, you want to build your air pressure back up. So So right now you're telling you want to build your air pressure back up until you hear it sneeze or you see it at 120, okay? Simplest thing to do is to build it up till you hear it go. Boom. Now my air pressure build back up. Turn the truck off. Undo my seatbelt. Make sure anytime the driver exits the truck, the key must go with you. So you take it out, take it with you. So now I have to get out and chock the wheels. I'm gonna place the wheels all on the drive tire. I'm gonna put one in front of it, one directly behind it on the same tire. As long as prevent it from rolling forward or backwards, okay? Right quick. Right. Once you get back in, put your seatbelt on. You don't have to say anything about it because you already talked about what's not supposed to happen. Just put it on for safety. Once it's on, you take your key, put it in, do one turn to the right, which is auxiliary mode. You're waiting for your ABS light to come on and go off. Once your ABS light come on and go off, go ahead and push your buttons in. Give your wheels a chance to chop and your air pressure to settle. All right, you feel it stop moving? Once you feel it stop moving, now you're ready to do your lab test. Lab is leaks, alarms, button test. So we're gonna go for the first thing, which is our leak test, is the L. For the leak test, you have to push on your service brake for 60 seconds. You should not lose more than 4 PSI after the first initial drop. That's your leak test. So you push and hold it. And he be like 60 seconds up, take your foot off the brake. You tell him, I held my brake down for 60 seconds. I did not lose more than 4 PSI after the first initial drop. That's your leak test. Next is your A, which is your alarm test. How do you perform it? You'll stab your brakes, you'll fan your brakes till you get a visual, audio, or both between 80 and 60 PSI. So that's what I'm gonna do. Fan my brakes till I get a visual, audio, or both between 80 and 60 PSI. I got both. I got the dinging and I got the 2 red lights. Came on between 80 and 60 for my alarm test. Next, which is labs, is B, which is your buttons. I got to continue to fan my brakes till both buttons pop out between 40 and 20. So that's what I'm gonna do. Fan my brakes, make sure both of them pop out between 40 and 20. Both of my buttons popped out between 40 and 20. This is called total lockout. Turn the switch off, take the key out, tell them this concludes my end cap. Once you know you called out everything in the beginning. Right? So you break it down in 3 phases. Okay? So the first phase is go back through it real quick. You know you do the light check, front and back. Once he get in, seatbelt, properly mounted secure, not afraid of damage, locks and unlocks. Safe start. Windows down, checking for unusual sounds or smells. Mirrors, make sure they're properly mounted secure, adjusted to the driver. Check your oil gauge, make sure it's rising, working properly. Check your primary and secondary air gauges, rising, working properly. Water cooling, rising, working properly. Right here will be your volts on your battery. Make sure between 12 and 14. Next, you do your indicators on the inside. Left turn signal, right turn signal, 4-way flashes. So the lights on, high beam indicator on and off. Okay? Come in, sit at home. Highway home. Windshield, properly mounted secure, not cracked, broken, or damaged. Clear in color, there's no stickers or anything obstructing the driver's view. Wiper blades, properly mounted secure, not cracked, broken, damaged, or frayed. Works at low speed, high speed. Washer fluid is properly working. Next, check the defrost on heat. Check it on the dash, the panel, and the floor. Alright? Next, after I check the dash panel floor, do my tug test, do my brake test. Check my tractor brakes. I push the red one in, leave the yellow one out. The pressure ain't good. So now I'm gonna do the tug test. I'm gonna check my tractor brakes. So I leave this one out, push my trailer brakes in. Go to drive, give it gas till I feel a slight tug. It's properly working. Pull that one out. Now I wanna check my trailer brakes. So I push my tractor brakes in, leave the trailer brakes out. Go to drive, give it gas, feel another slight tug. All right, properly working. Next, I'm gonna leave it in drive. I wanna check my service brakes, so I'm gonna push both in. Pull forward 3 to 5 feet, apply my service brake, and make sure it's properly working.
Still got a calculator on that.
All right, boom. Once you do that, you build your air pressure back up. Back up the snippet. Okay. All right, once you do that service brake test, you'll build your air pressure back up. Once your air pressure is built back up, turn the switch off, you'll take your seatbelt off, get out, shock your whip, make sure the key go with the driver, get back in, put your seatbelt back on, take your key, put it in, go to auxiliary mode, which is one turn to the right. Remember, don't ever crank this truck up doing your labs, okay? One turn to the right, wait for the ABS light to come on, go off. Once the ABS light come on, go off, push your buttons in. Give it a chance to chop, tanks to settle. Once you do that, tell them you're ready to start your lab test. Lab is leaks, alarms, buttons. First test is your leak test. Hold your service brake down.